Hi everyone. So today we'll see as a continuation of Postman video series. In this video, we'll see how to send a request from the script. Okay. So we'll send one HTTP request before making the actual request. Okay. So that can be sent through pre-script or your test also. Okay. So when you go to this Postman website, here you can see sending a request from the script. So you can use this pm.send request method to send a request asynchronously from the pre-request or test script. Okay. So which means before you want to make some request. Okay. So kind of pre-request. So I want to get some user details. Before that, I have to know that user is exist or not, right? So something like this. So this is my URL endpoint that I'm hosting my server locally. So let's say my server has three users. Okay. So one, two, three. All three users you have. But before I make this call, right? So for example, here I want to pass /001. Okay, so which will give the result of the user one. Okay, so before that, I just want to make sure, the user 001 is exist or not, right? So that comes the prerequisite for actual test. Okay, so now I will go to my Postman. So this is my request. Okay, so I'm making this request. So what are the users that I have in my DB, my database, or my server that will return here? Okay, so as of now, I have only one user which called ID 001. Okay, just I want to confirm before I'm making this call. Okay, if my user, my server has this user one or not. Okay, so for that one, what we can do, so we can write some method as a part of pm.send request. So here you can see this is a syntax. Okay, you can write like this. So pm.send request, you have to pass the URL, then you can console the logs. Okay, those that is a, this is the simplest way. And one more way, for example, if you want to send some header, some authorization as a part of header, and you want to send some body as well, you can send any request as a part of pre-request. Okay. So in the pm.send request, you can pass get, put, patch. So for in real-time cases, right? So before I make some call, I need some authentication token. For generating authentication token, you have to you can make some get call or post call, right? So which will give you some authentication token that you have to use for the subsequent request. For those cases, so you don't want to create separate request for, okay, so for example, so this is my collection. Okay, so within the collection, I may have a number of requests. For all the requests, I have some authentication token, authorization type. So that is basically authentication token or any username password kind of stuff. Okay, so here what we'll write some post method or get method to get the authentication token, right? So that authentication token will be passed to across all the the subsequent requests. What I'm telling is, so instead of making this one as a, separate call, you can keep this inside to the your first actual test case as a part of prerequisites. Okay, so here you can make this post call get call before making this request that will generate the token ID that you can pass to across all the sub requests. The subsequent request. Okay, I will explain this now. So this is my database. This is my user where my user ID is exists. Okay, this is my server. I'm running locally. So before this, I just want to make sure how many, this 001 ID user details are exist or not, right? So for that, what we can do, we can simply make one get call like this. So you have to go to this. So it's supposed you can write the script in the prerequest method as well as the test method. Okay, so in our case, we'll go to this prerequest is. Okay, so here I have written already something. Okay, so what I'm returning here, so this is pm.test, which will, the syntax of our test. Okay, so in the Postman tab also we'll write some test, right? The same test we can write it here. pm.test, PM stand for Postman, and this is a test name that you can give anything. Okay, so after that, this is JavaScript code. You have to write as a function. Within the function, I'm sending this pm.send request. So I'm passing this URL. This is my URL parameter, and the method name is get. Okay, I don't need any getter. Header in this case. So if you want to pass any header, also you can pass it here. Okay. After that, I am creating one more function to console all the response that what I get. Okay. So now I will open the console. I can show you very clearly. So this is basically get method, right? I will comment out all the things again, and again I will go for one more time. Okay. So now I don't have anything. So I will open the console. So this is a console window. When I make this request, here you can see only one request will go, right? So this is a request that actual request that we made. Okay, so in the response body, we are getting all the details. The same response body we are seeing in the postman response body as well, right? So you can see only one request went. I will clear the console. Again, I will come back to the script. Okay, so in the pre-script, we have to enable this one. Okay, so this is a postman test method that you have to write. Within the test, I'm writing some pm.send request. So what I'm telling is, before you make this actual request, okay, make this request after come to this actual request. Okay, so now I will send this, but I mean request. You can see in the console, you can see the two request. I mean two get request will go behind the screen. Okay, now I'll make this request. So now you can see here one request went. So one request went as a part of pre-request is. Okay, after that, this is an actual test. I mean, actual this URL, right? So that's went again, second one. So this pre-request, you can see this is in gray color, this is in the dark color. Okay, so this is an actual one that went through here, and this is a pre-request. Okay, so here you can see the difference, right? So I will expand this one, and you can see very clearly. Okay, so what this went, again the same thing. So here also you can see the response, same response we are getting in the prerequest is after this is a normal one. Okay, so this is going from our URL. This one is going from our URL. Okay, so this is, we just console this log everything. So that's the reason it's giving all the log status. Okay, so I will comment out this logging function, and you can see this logger, you cannot see further. Okay, this ID and all you cannot see further. I will clear the console. Again, I will make the request. Now we can see the console is went, right? So since I commented out, it is not coming in the window. I mean console window. Okay. So this is how we can make the get request, and you can, for example, now. Okay. So why we want to do this one? So for example, as we discussed, we have to generate some authentication or something like that, right? So now here I can control this one. So if my prerequisites are getting failed. So what is the prerequisite is? So for web application, you have to launch some browser and you have to pass the URL. This is a prerequisite. If your browser is not working fine, if your browser is not launching, then I mean there is no point of running the further test cases, right? So that is a prerequisite. So similarly, what we can do here, we can write some test also. So pm.expect. This is a response that we are storing. Okay, res is a response that we are taking to have. Okay, these are the, I mean, assertion property that come from Postman default. So by default, Postman supports Chai assertion library in the JavaScript. Okay, so that you can see in their website. So here, what we have to do, we have to give us a 200. So what we are telling here, so before actual making this request, make sure my prerequisite is done and it is giving the 200 status or not. Okay, so now I will make this request. I will clear the console. So when I make this request, if this is passed, then it will execute my test case. I mean, this actual test case will work. I mean, this endpoint will work. So now we can go to this test tab, and here you can see this is getting passed. So this is a get method. So whatever you write here, this is kind of test case name or something like this. So I will change this one. Okay. So instead of get method hyphen 01 I will put. Okay. So this is not coming from the test tab, guys. I have not written any test in the test tab. Okay, so now I will execute this test case. I mean this API. I will make this request. Now we can see this became as a get method hyphen 01. Okay. Now we can see it's become a hyphen 01, right? So this is not coming from the test tab. This is coming from the prerequisites. In the prerequisites also you can write some tests like this. Okay. So now we have, we have getting this one passed because of we are getting the 200 status. If I make this 201, I will clear the console. Now we can see this is getting failure, right? So because of this is getting failure, this actual result is, this call, have not, it does not happen, right? So here you can see first one is coming from the prerequisites. Okay, this is a URL that we have passed, and it is, it has executed, and we have got the 200 code, but we are assert as a 201, right? So it will not execute further. Okay, so if I make this as a 200, it will work fine. Now you can see I will clear the console again. So now you can see two calls went, right? So one from the prerequisites tab and one from the actual one. Okay. So now again more clear onto this. Why do we make this one? Okay. So we have validated this one, this 200 is working fine. So when I make this request, I'm getting some response, right? This is an actual response I'm getting. I have to extract this value and I have to pass it across the subsequent method. Okay. So this is a get method if I want to delete, right? So this ID is mandatory. Okay. Otherwise, we can use this slash path variable 001. So if I make this one, again, it will be giving the same results, right? So when I deleted this one, you can see the difference. So it was like this, it is given to the object. So when I deleted this path variable, when I make this complete user, you can see this is coming in the array bracket, right? So I'm maintaining all the user in the array object. Okay. So now what we'll do, I mean, in the prerequest, we are passing this URL. So from this URL, we have to take this ID. Okay. So for example, here we have n number of user, right? So when I make this endpoint, I'm getting so many users. I particularly want to go for this user one. Okay. So for that one, what we have to, we have to give this path variable as a 001, right? So we have to pass like this. So I mean 01, sorry. So how do we pass this one? So we have to extract the value from here. Okay, so for extracting the value, you can create some variable like a let or where or constant, something like that. So response JSON, you can give any variable name, and this is a response that we are extracting, right? So response dot, you have to put as a JSON. Okay, so we are extracting this all response to this variable. Okay, from this variable, we can set some any kind of variable like a local variable or global variable, anything we can set. So in our case, we'll set the local variable. Okay, variable dot save. Then you have to name that variable name, right? So you can give us in this case, I will give us a ID. Okay, this is my variable name. And what is the value? I mean, value. So value that we have to take here from the response, we have to take this. I mean, we are taking this response. This will store all the entire object, right? But particularly we want to go to this ID. Okay, so for going this ID, so this is given to the array object, right? So this is the first array object, and I have to navigate to this ID. Okay, so now what happens? It will take this. It will read this response, and from the response, it will take the ID and it will store to this particular environment variable called ID. Okay, so now I will execute this one. So it is working fine, right? So we can console this if you want. Okay, I will console this response ID. It is coming as a 001 or not. Okay, I will clear the console. Again, I will make the call. So now you can see this 001 is printed, right? So console is similar to the console sysout in the Java, right? Okay, you can console and you can validate. So similarly, if I want to get this name, right? So I want to get this name. You can pass it as a name here. Okay, so now I will clear another console. You can see this name is getting printed in the console. See, the name is printed, right? So now, similarly, we have set this variable, right? So I will come, I mean, deleted this line. So this is for your verification. I have printed the console. So now we have set this variable, right? So when I make this call, the entire user details are coming, right? So for example, I will make one more thing. I will add one more user to the same repository. I will name it as a 02. Okay. I will make this call. So now the user 2 is created. So when I make this call, you can see two users will be coming in the response, right? 001 and 002, right? So for this one, so what we are trying to make here, I'm passing this URL. I'm getting all the users that I have in my server. Okay. So particularly, I want to see this is 001. Okay. So for that one, what we can do, we can simply pass this path variable and we can make it as this is an environment, local variable, right? So this is a local variable that we have created and we are setting it here. So it will throw the error unresolved variable. It will work on only the runtime. Okay. So now I will open the console. So what we are doing, we are making this call. I mean, complete user endpoint we are calling. After that, whatever the user response come, so we are taking the first ID. Okay. So the first ID we are taking and we are giving to this local variable. Okay. I will make this call now. You can see it here, right? So this is a prerequest URL. Till users it's went, right? So this is a prerequest URL that went. After that, we got some response here. From the response, so this is a response. This is a response that we are getting. So from that, what we are taking the first request. I mean, first user details. By setting this value, we are reading all the response value here and we are storing into the variable. From the variable, we are taking the ID one. Okay. So in the ID one, we are taking this one and we have given this local variable, right? So you can see this is a URL build like this /user/001. Okay. So this is how we can make sure, okay, our 01s exists. If it is my 01s exists, then particularly I can get those details. So in the response, you can see we are getting only the 001 details. Okay. If I delete this ID, if I make this call, so all the users that I have in my DB, it will come like a 01 and as well as 02. Okay, this is a way that we can effectively use this prerequisites tab, making some HTTP calls in the from the script. Okay, sending request from the script. So now we have seen this get method, right? So similarly, you can make the post method also. So for example, for post, what we can do, so we have to create one method like this. Okay, so this is a post method. I have already written here. Okay, again, I'm writing some text. Within the text, I'm giving the postman dot send request. I'm giving the URL, and this method name is a post method. And if you want to pass header like a content type, content length, authorization, everything you can pass. In the body, you have to pass it as a raw. So usually we select as a body as a raw right here. So this is a raw type that we have to select here. So that's what we are passing it here. And the raw, so we are passing the JSON body. So for sending the JSON body, you have to give this method called JSON.stringify that will convert your JSON to string method. I mean, a string body type. Okay. So that we are sending it here. So after that, so here also we are doing the same thing. We are taking the response ID here and we are storing in the local variable. Okay. So this one I rename as a capital letter. Okay. So now what happens? So here it will first thing it will run this post method. Okay. After that it will go for a get method. Okay. You can assume this is a I mean kind of generating some token before we are going for our actual test. Right. So you have 10 APIs. For 10 APIs you need some authentication token. Right. So you have to generate first authentication token, then you have to go for actual test. So you can assume this is I mean generating some authentication token here. Okay, so this is the endpoint that we are using here. Okay, I will change the ID here. So since already we have 0102, I will make it as a 03 and name also I will make it as a 03. So now when we run this method, what happens? It will directly come to the prerequisites tab and it will execute this post method. After that, it will execute the get method. Okay, so now I will open the console. Okay, so here we are making this 003, right? So I will give us a local variable called ID that we have set up already, right? So this is where we are reading this value and we are setting as a local variable. Okay. So now when I run this case, first it will create one user by 003 ID and the same ID will be given to here to get the only 03 record, not the entire records. Okay. I will open the console. I will make this request now. So here you can see that it is first one is went as a post method that is going from the prerequisites. Okay, so after prerequisites, it is executing the actual get method, right? So here you can see, I mean, this is a post method that we have sent. So in the request body, all the JSON went like this. So this is a JSON that we are passing it here, ID, name, and everything, right? So in the response body, you can see this is a, I mean, the response that we get when you pass the post method. And after that, what we are taking this ID. So whatever the ID we have generated, so the this 003 that we are reading from the post method by setting this local variable, we are passing the same variable to in the header, I mean in the endpoint to get only those user details, right? So this is how we can effectively use this HTTP request sending from the script. Okay, you can use the same thing in the test method also. So in this case, we can go for a test result, and you can see this is a test that you have written in the post method. So that is what coming here. Okay. So you can pass any header if you want. You can pass if you, I mean, this is URL name. This is a post method. Okay. So that's all about this video. So before like, so when this real time scenarios will come, this is a scenario that we have explained. You want to generate some authentication token or something that mandatory to go to your actual test, right? So this is a script you can use it. Okay, for more details, you can go to this Postman website and you can get to know all the details. And there are some syntax also. So for example, okay, here you can see this is they are generating some token, right? So here they are using the body as URL encoder type. So what we have seen here, this is a raw body type, right? So here we have gone through the raw body, right? So for similarly, if you want to see this URL encode option, then you can use this template. Okay, so what they are doing here, I mean, they are passing all the type, username, password. This is actually they are generating some authentication token. It could be like a barrier token or a Auth 2.0 token, any token. Okay, so they are sending as a part of pre-request this method before actual your endpoints part. I mean, before actual test case starts, right? So that's all about this video. So this is a way we can send the pre-request, I mean, some request in the pre-request tab as well as in the test tab before you go for actual test cases. Okay. So this page you can refer. I will give this page in the video description. You can go through it, sending the request from the scripts. Okay. Um, that's all about this video. So if you guys have any comment or any clarification, please feel free to update in the comment section. Thank you guys.